Hi, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in to Swoon-Worthy, the podcast dedicated to movies and series set in different time periods. I'm Carly, co-hosting with my sister, Kayla. And today we're going to talk about the sweet, nostalgic, magical movie from 2002, Tuck Everlasting. And we are so happy to be joined by another guest host for this episode, Tommy.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me.
We're so glad that you've joined us. And Tommy, you and I have known each other for a while. I feel like we've seen some movies together. We used to watch movies back in college together. We've been friends since college. Do you have any fun memories of us seeing movies together?
Well, Carly, I do recall watching some movies with you. I think we may have started with some French club movies.
Ooh, yes.
Did you watch the screening of Ne l'a dit à personne with me?
I think
That
so.
it's like a French mystery thriller. There's like a
Mhm.
murder on a lake, and
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. And Moliere, I don't know if you saw that one, but yeah, it was in some kind of room in the near the library of College Station.
yes, that sounds right.
Okay, yeah.
And then you got me into some indie films. You got me a little bit more cultured. We watched some French Canadian movies together. I know you
Yeah.
like the director Xavier Dolan, and
Hmm.
you got me into Les Amours Imaginaires or
Yes. Also,
Heartbeats.
yeah, also known as Heartbeats. Kayla, you like that movie
I
too, right?
remember a dance happening in College Station that I think I recorded or something.
No, but Kayla's always dabbled in directing short film, and so one time, Tommy and I decided to take on the song, the dance, the Madison from a certain Nouvelle Vague film. What was that? What is that movie called?
You remember?
No, I
I
forgot.
loved that dance.
Oh, it was a Vivre sa vie.
No, it's not Vivre sa vie. Hold on, it's a different one. Ben a bande à part.
Oui, okay.
You say it better. You say it in your French.
La bande à part.
There you go. Oh my goodness. And yeah, so the three of us have had some fun adventures in Austin as well. So we've
And
hung out. And today we are excited to jump into this podcast on Tuck Everlasting. It's set in 1914. So a little bit after the turn of the century, the late part of the Edwardian period. And we've covered some Edwardian movies in our podcast before. So think Titanic. And we'll even be drawing some comparisons today between Titanic and Tuck Everlasting. And our last episode that Kayla and I covered with our friend Stephanie, A Room with a View, was set in the Edwardian time period. So it's a beautiful, I would say aesthetically pleasing time period. We'll talk about the costumes of Tuck Everlasting, the actors, the plot, of course. So yeah, I think we'll just start jumping into it, okay?
yes.
Sounds great.
All right. So this movie, which you can stream on Disney Plus, by the way, it's a Disney movie. It feels like a Disney movie to me. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Um, directed by Jay Russell, costume designed by Jade Kitzrow and Carol Ramsey, starring Alexis Bledel as Wendy Foster and Jonathan Jackson as Jesse Tuck. So let's talk a little bit about these actors. Kayla, I know you're a Gilmore Girls fan. Do you have anything to say now about Alexis Bledel?
I mean, so I feel like I watched the movie before I even got into Gilmore Girls. So, but now that I've watched Gilmore Girls thousands of times over and over again, when I watch this movie, it's to me, she's just Rory. And I was thinking, this feels like maybe Rory having like a fever dream and you know what I mean? Like the whole story is just part of the Gilmore Girls universe, but
Okay. That's funny. I'm personally not a Gilmore Girls fan. I don't know about you, Tommy.
No, I wasn't. I didn't grow up on it.
Mm-mm. But Kayla watches it. I feel like every time I've been at her place or in her apartment, she just has it in the background.
yeah.
But you're not alone. Other people do that, right?
Oh yeah. It's a comfort. It feels like you're like in a cozy room when you watch it. You know, it's just a comfort show. you know?
And they talk too fast.
Yeah, I remember one time you told me that you have a problem with this actress because it doesn't look like she's moving her mouth when she talks.
Yes. That being said, I do love her in Tuck Everlasting. I think she's perfect for the role. Beautiful, sweet. She was 21. She was 21 for this movie, but she looks so young.
Yeah, she does look young.
Mm-hmm. And then Jonathan Jackson was 20 filming this. Have either of you seen anything with that actor?
Honestly, no. Like I didn't recognize him from anything since. He wasn't one of those teenage heartthrobs that came to mind for me, but
Yeah.
sure he's an aesthetically pleasing man.
It's true. And in the book, so this is based off a book published in 1975, actually. Isn't that crazy? It's a children's book, really, but it's kind of, I read it in fourth grade, actually. It was one of our fourth grade reading class readings. I guess we wanted to delve into the issue of immortality in fourth grade. I don't know. But what was I going to say about that? Oh, and in the book, a few differences right off the bat. So set in 1880, not 1914. And Winnie is only 10 years old in the book. Yeah, Tommy knew that.
Oh, just in the movie, she was portrayed as a little older than she was in the book. So I guess she was like, yeah, she was like 10 in the book.
That's so young.
Yeah, she's 10 and Jessie is 17. And in the book, she's kind of enamored by him, kind of like a little crush, like an older boy crush. And I think it was a smart decision for this one to make them closer to the same age.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting.
Yeah.
Especially when you start considering that Jesse's like 104. So
Yes, as an adult watching this, I like definitely thought about that more. I was like, this is kind of weird, but
Kayla, Twilight's the same thing.
I
All the
know
vampires,
this is totally Twilight, like just in a different way. Like,
but before Twilight. And if you think about it, like this is better than vampires because they're not, they're not evil. They're just kind of living. They don't have to eat people and they can come out in the sunlight. So it's kind of better.
sure. There were
But
definitely some scenes that were very Twilight-esque. I'm sure we'll get into them too, but it was definitely drawing some similarities to other movies in it.
mm-hmm. So I do want to say one more thing about the actor Jonathan Jackson. So I have liked this actor for a while because Dirty Dancing 2, Havana Nights is a great movie. He doesn't play, but he plays kind of like the little mean guy in it.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
But I just love that movie. And I don't know if anyone else likes that movie but myself.
I haven't seen it.
2004. And then if you're a Boy Meets World fan, Jonathan Jackson was in a couple episodes. He's the one that meets Topanga at the art gallery. And like she, for a second, almost goes with him over Corey.
okay. Wow. That's awesome. I didn't realize.
Anyways, okay, enough about that. And then we've got some other amazing actors in this. So the father of Tuck Everlasting is William Hurt. The mother is Sissy Spacek, who's like iconic. Scott Barristow plays the brother Miles. And Scott Barristow was in a movie, Wild America from 1998. Anyone seen that one?
Yeah, I thought he looked familiar.
It's the three brothers. It's Devon Sawa, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, and this guy. And they're like three brothers in the wild. Do you remember this?
I think I do.
Like in the back of your head, right? Like
There's a bear cave where they're in the cave with the bear.
Okay, now I'm getting upriver in my head with Seth Green. Definitely not the same movie.
Wait, what is upriver? That sounds familiar too. Oh,
Is
a
that it?
Western. Is it the Western?
Sorry, I'm not even sure if I was correct.
Maybe
Are you talking about River Run? What is that movie?
the River Wild or whatever.
River Wild.
Maybe.
You're thinking the River Wilds, and that one was, what did I say it was called? Okay, we're just on a tangent here.
Okay.
Wild America.
Don't include it if it's conjecture.
What
I'm
are we
just pulling
saying?
things.
Okay, all good. But Sissy Spacek, any Carrie fans? That movie is so cool.
I recognize Sissy more from like TV shows and seeing her on random cable shows as I'm scrolling. But like for me, the accent really threw me off because I just associate her as like a Southern, and I know we get into like her Scottish roots in the
Yeah.
movie too.
Sissy Spacek is from East Texas, where we're from. So I always think about that.
Yeah, Tommy, where are you from?
Well, I like to tell people I'm from the United States, but not one of the 50 states.
Ooh, I wonder. Yes, but I always, think about you from Texas too, because we're both went to school in Texas.
Yeah, that's true. I did grow up in Texas, but I was born in DC and I live in DC now. So
Yeah.
there was a time, and most of my childhood was in Texas, and Carly and I lived probably like 5-hour drive from each other, but college was kind of in the middle, and Carly's been able to meet my family and see my childhood home and hang out with us down there too.
Yeah.
And you recently got to visit our hometown, right?
Yes, for Kayla's wedding.
And Kayla, William Hurt, who plays the father, you got to think the village,
I
right?
do. I do.
You love the village.
Yes.
And he's this movie kind of has some village vibes from M. Night Shyamalan. Okay, so the movie starts out kind of a classic um, Disney tone with some ethereal music and the whistling. I think the subtitles called it a wistful melody. It's the tune that we're going to hear throughout the movie. And it starts with a modern day scene, a man in a black leather outfit and a jacket and the helmet. He's riding his motorcycle. And this is our lead here, Jonathan Jackson. And kind of mysterious. We're kind of like, where's this going? But then it changes back. It goes back in time a bit. And we have a narrator who says, for some, time passes slowly. An hour can seem an eternity. For others, there's never enough. For the Tucks, it didn't exist. And we see a girl on the grass. So this is our first introduction to Alexis Bledel. She's in this like white frock with little pink accents and a flower crown. She's so cute. And that's Alexis Bledel, and she's just pretty. Yeah. I think she's sitting there with a frog. Does she have a little frog near her? Okay.
That frog comes in throughout the movie though.
Wait, did I miss
I didn't
this
notice it in
frog?
the first scene.
I didn't even notice a frog.
Yeah, no, there's a frog. I think it's in the book too. So I think they put it in the movie for people who like the book, like to see the little hints there. But Tommy noticed the frog, Kayla.
Oh my God. I'm questioning myself right now. Okay.
And yeah, it's the first week of summer. So you're picturing it kind of warm. And of course, in all these movies where it's set in earlier time periods and it's summer, and you just think of all the layers they're wearing. It's just, oh. And it even shows Alexis Bledel being tied up in her corset. And she has that, kind of mentality. Why do girls have to wear corsets? Which is, you see in a lot of period dramas.
A lot like Titanic.
Yes, this is one of the many little Titanic references. I almost wonder, did they think about the success of Titanic when making this movie and like how people are drawn to that movie and then say, okay, let's not set the book in 1880. Let's set it closer to the Titanic time period. I'm just wondering if that was in their minds or if it was subconscious or if it was purposeful. I don't know. And then we have Sissy Spacek as May Tuck. They're saying that she meets her son once every 10 years. And you see her going into town. She's kind of looking at all the latest fashions, I feel like. She perhaps doesn't go to town very often. She lives in the woods. I don't know. What do you think about that opening scene of them in the town? Any thoughts?
Yeah, that was the same impression I got. I mean, she was turning heads. Her clothes were obviously outdated. She was fidgeting with the typewriter, just inspecting the latest inventions and seeing what's really changed over the last decade.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. And then I think, is it in that same scene where Winnie is in town with her mother and her mother goes to the bakery um, to get some bread or some, I think she's looking for petit fours or whatever those desserts. And Winnie is just stuck in the carriage and she's like, I want to go play some baseball with these little street urchins.
Yeah, I was just thinking how like snobby her mom sounded in the bakery. Like, oh my gosh. She's like, none of these would do.
They were too big for tea cakes or whatever.
Yeah.
And that pink jacket, that coat that she's wearing in the carriage is the direct same costume from Titanic. It's that pretty pale pink with the black embroidery and probably one of the more famous recycled movie costumes. I think people notice this very vividly because Titanic, that's the jacket she's wearing when the Titanic is sinking. So that whole second half of the movie, she's got that pink coat on. And then here we see Alexis Bledel wearing it. So it's pretty cool.
That's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And the boys come home to their mother. So then we get our Jonathan Jackson and um, Scott Barristow playing Jesse and Miles. And they come home. They're excited to see their mother. They go back into the woods to go see their father and their family home. And yeah, definitely kind of village vibes. Like they're more outdated out there, secluded. They're not with the times. It's very interesting. But we still, I guess, for those who haven't seen this movie at this point, you're still kind of wondering what the big mystery is,
Yeah. It's
right?
funny because that character who plays the dad, I mean the actor who plays the dad, he just fits for that kind of like wise forest man, like just like helping young people through life. Like I feel like that's what he's typecasted as.
Yeah.
Oh wait, so I'm confused. So they are gone from their family for 10 years at a time, or and they only
Yeah.
how long are they back together? And then I'm just kind of confused about the timing.
Sure. Sure. So I think in the book, the thing is they don't have partners in life. So the mom and dad, May and Angus Tuck, they have each other and they were older when they kind of began stopping.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to like spoiler alert, but people have seen this movie that are tuning into the
Yeah.
podcast, right? Okay. So they're a bit older when their age stops, right? So they've lived their life a bit longer. So they're kind of happy to just be settled and living in seclusion, I think. But the two boys, they don't really have partners in life. They're a little more adventurous. So they go off and do their thing and go see the Eiffel Tower, go tour and all that. And then they come home and visit, and their parents can expect them every 10 years, like the first week of August, I think it says in the book. But in the book, it also says that they do visit them randomly sometimes. So they do live apart sometimes, the brothers. They're not always together. And they just can't be in the same place for too long, or people are going to start asking questions.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that'd be fun though.
What do you mean?
I would want to move and live in a different country every 5 years or something.
I think
No?
so too. I mean, I think that's going to be a question we want to ask ourselves on this podcast. It's like, if you were granted the gift of immortality, like the Tucks, what would you do with it? How would you spend your years? Tommy, what have you thought about this? I'm sure you have.
Uh, yeah, I mean, as much as it sounds nice to live forever, I think I would get sick of it at some point. And the whole theme of this movie is like just enjoying life, living it to the fullest. And I think personally, I wouldn't want to live forever because it would just kind of be the same thing day in, day out. And a theme that I really picked up on the movie was living life to the fullest and having a life lived. So I think you can kind of appreciate taking a step back and enjoying the process.
What I think you're saying is that like it makes it more special because it doesn't last forever. So everything that's happening to you just means more, right?
Yeah, yeah, Kayla summed it up nicely.
Okay, well, am I the only one who wants to live forever and don't think that I would be bored? And finally, I could actually get some stuff done with my life. Here I'm already getting old, and there's so much I want to accomplish. I don't know. Maybe I'm more like the man in the yellow suit. I would be searching for this spring and trying to, but I wouldn't market it. I wouldn't be like trying to sell it or anything. I think I would be wanting to take it for myself. Am I the only one who feels this way? Am I missing the message of the movie? Probably.
I don't know.
But
I'm
yeah.
kind of I like both ideas.
The man in the yellow suit is interesting. So that's actor Ben Kingsley, a very famous actor, won the Oscar in 1983 for playing Gandhi. Okay. So very well revered actor. And this, what a creepy character though.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, his introduction definitely gave me like Jack the Ripper vibes. It was dark and smoky, and the guys are escaping on a train track, and he just throughout the movie he just kind of appears, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like a shock value to it.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's creepier because he almost seemed like you want to like he seems kind of nice, like you kind of like how when he's talking to her, he seems kind of easy to get along with, but then there's still like an undertone of something creepy.
But that's the thing. Aren't most serial killers charming
Yeah.
and engaging? I don't know. But no, spot on. And I almost wish there were more flashback scenes or like scenes that had that misty, foggy kind of aesthetic. And like, what did they do? What did the boys do when they were touring Europe? I just think that would be kind of cool. But
Yeah.
and then the man in the yellow suit, so he spots Winnie and she's trying to catch fireflies and make Alexis Bledel, 20-year-old Alexis Bledel, look so young. It's so cute. And yeah, it comes to the fence and kind of talks to her. And the mom is like, okay, stranger danger. Like, what are you doing?
Right, like Winnie has zero survival skills at this point.
It's clear she's going to be abducted at some point in her life. And um, but then they go back inside. And then I think it's the next day where her parents are like, we're going to send you to boarding school. So her parents are somewhat famous. So Amy Irving plays Winnie's mother, who was also in the movie Carrie with Sissy Spacek. Fun
Really?
side note there. She plays the girl at the end. I love the ending of Carrie. And then Victor Garber is her father, who is an awesome actor. Tommy, you know this actor from some other movies?
Well, from Titanic, of course.
Of course. And also the father in Cinderella 1997, a personal favorite of Kayla and mine.
And Legally Blonde.
Legally Blonde. That's not as nice of a character in Legally Blonde.
He's in like all my favorite movies from like the 90s and 2000s.
Mm-hmm. Such a staple as an actor. I love Victor. And yeah, they're just thinking they're going to send Winnie away to a school 500 miles away from her home, I think it says. I hate that in movies when they try to send the kid off to boarding school.
Yeah, Winnie described it as a jail, and her parents said, well, women come out of there like refined and educated young ladies. So it's obvious the parents want her best interests, and her the way Winnie just seeks to mature is a little different than the way her parents do.
Yeah.
Well said. Yeah. She has a different idea of getting to where she wants to be and growing up. And luckily, I think at the end, they're kind of more on the same page, but something has to happen first, right? So she thinks, oh, I'll run away and I'll go into the woods across from my home and get lost, which is so funny. Because you think, like, how far did she go? And she's just completely lost, this little, you know, stranded girl. And her pretty white clothes get so dirty and dingy. I love her outfit. This is her classic outfit that we see in all the movie stills from the movie. It's this white, lacy, classic number. Still pretty youthful, right? Um, her hair's, I think it starts up and then it just slowly unravels, if I'm not mistaken, as she kind of has like a Snow White experience where she's like running through the woods and the tree limbs are all kind of scraping against her. And then she sees the guy. She sees the 17-year-old hottie in the woods.
Wait, I thought first she sees the spring. Isn't she about to drink from the spring and he stops her?
Oh yeah, she sees Jesse drinking from the spring, and
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
and his dad has like a zero tolerance policy for anybody catching them in the woods, right?
Exactly. And they kind of stare at each other for a while, and that's, I went back to the book. I have it right here. It's a quick read if anyone wants to read it. It's like a nice little children's preteen book. It's really, really fun. And they kind of stare at each other for a while. They don't really know what to do, and they're just kind of registering each other. And I think they do that in the movie a bit. And then he's like, oh, who are you? And it kind of comes out, I own these woods. I'm Winnie Foster. And he obviously knows the name Foster. And so he's thinking, oh no, like, of all people, right? And then that's what it is. She wants to go get a drink because she's thirsty. She's been stranded in the woods. And he's like, you can't do that. What Tommy said, zero tolerance. And how do you explain that at this point? So the next step is to kidnap her?
Yeah, Jesse said the water was poison and tried not to get her to drink it.
Which is
And then,
good.
oh,
Good try. That was a good attempt, right?
yeah, and then the movie had another one of those jump scares where I think it's the man in the yellow suit, but it was Miles.
Yeah.
It's Miles that actually kidnaps her.
Right. It's the brother, not really. I think Jesse might have handled it differently, but Miles was there and he just kind of swings her on the horse and they're off.
When they filmed that chase, I just thought it was interesting. I know Jesse was on foot and then Miles and Winnie were on horseback.
Mhm.
And it was like a big obstacle course. Jesse was climbing up hills and then scaling down the rocks at like a 90-degree angle. I thought he was definitely going to fall in the movie, but it was
Hey,
very much like Twilight Edward vibes running through the forest.
gotcha. I love that. And I guess maybe he thinks I'm not going to die, so I'll just run as fast as I can down the. That's funny. Tommy, I thought of you in that scene. You want to know why?
Did it have to do with my Halloween outfit?
No.
Never mind.
Which Halloween outfit?
When I was Edward in like a group of vampires
No,
from
I don't remember
Twilight.
this at all.
Oh my gosh, can I see a picture of that, please?
Oh my God, we brought McDonald's to the party and they like put ketchup down my mouth. It was like, anyways.
I don't remember this. No, that's not what I was thinking. I was just thinking of how he kind of walks along that log that stretched out over the river, and you and I, you do that. Like there will be a thin log, tree log across the water, and you go for it.
Yeah, well, I feel like we did that together behind my apartments in college. It was like over a sewer line and it was like 15 feet in the air, probably a foot wide, and we were just go back and forth for fun.
We would. I don't remember if I ever made it across or if I got too scared, but you definitely did. Because
I'm pretty sure
you think I did?
I'm pretty sure I like held your hand and
Oh,
we
maybe
went
so.
across together.
Okay, well, that makes me feel more adventurous. I think we did it. Let's just go with that. But Tommy has some gymnastic skills, so you were less scared than I.
There's definitely a picture of us in the middle of it.
Okay, yeah, you're probably right. Kayla's like, what is
Carly,
going
I'm telling mom.
I was over 18. I was older than Winnie. And yes. And then she befriends the frog in this book. And I mean, you know, Tommy, I had my adventure with the little frog too.
Oh, yes.
What?
It was one of our many adventures together in college. Um, wait, just go ahead, Carly.
Someone tell me. I'm curious.
Well, you know the story goes, if you kiss a frog, it might turn
No,
into a prince.
I remember hearing about this.
So I took a chance.
Ew.
We may or may not put this
Salmonella.
in the we may or may not put this in the podcast. Oh boy, but we're loosening up, so that's good. Okay. So then Winnie gets taken to their home and meets the mother and the father, and they're like the sweetest people. So you kind of see how she lets her guard down a little bit. She's like, okay, I want to go home and I'm kidnapped. But then she's kind of like, okay, at least they're nice people. They're not harming me. Um, which I don't know if that's kind of a problematic mindset or not, but
Yeah, I think it plays into her zero survival skills and then gets a little bit borderline Stockholm syndrome. But May's presence was very warm, and I think May was also happy to have another woman in the household, and she definitely had that maternal feeling that Winnie had sort of been lacking among her own mother.
That's such a good point, because that there's that scene where she's helping her get comfortable for the night, so like maybe taking off her corset, and that's a very good point. That's the opposite of what she got from her mother, lacing her tight in the corset. So I love that. Yeah, and then there's the music box, and when he's like, I've heard that tune before, because the man in the yellow suit, when she was out there catching fireflies, he whistled that tune. So that tune just always comes back, and I really like that tune.
I do
That
too.
it's
I love the music in this movie. It's very nice.
So guess what? The music is composed by William Ross, who was an additional conductor and orchestrator on Titanic. The plot thickens. It's just so much, so many references to Titanic here. It's
Interesting.
like they had to have known. Um, yeah. And then she gets to go to sleep, I think at a certain point. I don't remember if they haven't told her yet about their big mystery. So she goes to sleep and they're like, we'll take you home soon, don't worry. And then Jesse wakes her up the next morning early, which I have a problem with that. Like
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
I have more of a problem with them eating fish with their pancakes and bacon.
You didn't find that an appetizing dinner, did you?
Oh my gosh.
That's a good point. I didn't really notice that.
I don't notice little things like that. I wish I did. The frog.
Tommy just Tommy has PTSD because when there was one time
What?
there was a dinner party and they asked Tommy, "Oh, what do you not want for dinner? You know, what should we not include in the meal?" And Tommy was just honest, like, you know, the one thing I really just don't eat is fish. And then what did you have for dinner that at that party? What was it served?
They made a tuna quiche.
Ew.
I really tried being polite and eating around it, but I was definitely like making visibly uncomfortable.
Where were we? Okay, so he wakes her up, and again, any of these movies, I mentioned this in Mansfield Park, when the cute guy wakes up the girl in the early morning hours for some cool thing, I'm like, can you just wait a couple hours? It doesn't have to be at dawn. No, I know that's part of the movie, but they go to this really cool rock formation in the woods, and this is where he tells her, this is my Eiffel Tower. It's 2 feet higher than the real Eiffel Tower, and it's so beautiful. And they go up it and they see this amazing view. And he's like, I've been all over the world, and this is still one of my favorite views. And I think that is a beautiful scene, though.
Yeah, takes place in the Adirondacks, which is just a naturally beautiful area too. Beautiful hills around, very lush and green in the summer, if you've ever had a chance to visit.
I feel dumb asking, but what state is this all taking place?
New
I
York.
think, well, I think it's a fictional town, but it's like the internet said New Hampshire.
Oh, okay.
And then this is also a part where where Winnie says, "How old are you?" And Jesse honestly answers, 104 years old. But let's just call it 17 because he's been 17 for 87 years. And so, you know, this is where you think about that 104 years old. That's interesting. What do we think about that? Can we get past that? Could you get past that? I see some anxious faces on the screen.
Well, yeah, I think at that age, you don't think about stuff like that. You're just like, oh, he's cute. He's my age. You're not like, you don't even know what that means, like to be older. You know what I mean? Like you're not thinking about that.
So
So
you could get past it
if I was her,
because
I
his
would probably,
appearance.
yeah, you're just all appearance mostly. So I would probably honestly be fine with it if I was her.
It's just extra wise, you know. Tommy's nodding his head.
Oh yeah, I would agree. Extra wise, but conventionally handsome. So I think that teenage hormones would win out.
Yeah, and I mean, come on, we got to go with the whole Edward Cullen thing. Vampire lore has been around for a long time. We know this happens in books. And this actor kind of also reminds me of, well, Devon Sawa and Casper, and then also um, in Hocus Pocus, Max at the beginning of the
Yeah,
movie. Yeah.
yeah, I definitely agree.
Mm-hmm. The
Oh
kind
my
of
gosh.
loose white shirt vibes, the longish blonde hair,
That kid in
light brown.
Hocus Pocus, like that was when I was a kid, that was my crush for sure. Like
I know, and only a small part that we get to see Max, then he's the black cat, but okay. So there's a search party for Winnie. Obviously, they have to cut to that. The parents aren't just sitting there. However, the mom is just sitting there playing the piano while everyone's out looking. I'm like, can she not like put on some boots and just like do a little hiking and look for her daughter?
not what women do back
Oh
then.
my, can't do that. And Jesse and Winnie keep having some fun adventures. They're frolicking in the fields. There's a baby deer they befriend.
Yeah, the narration said they were losing track of time, and not Winnie doesn't even know how long she's been gone at this point, too.
I remember hearing that and I was like, okay, didn't you only like sleep one night in the, in the cottage? No, I'm just being no, because we don't really know the time lapse at this point. But she's wearing that same dress.
I
Yeah.
could never.
I'd have to borrow some of May's clothes, use some belts to tie it up. Yeah. And I think they said also, the narrator said they're never in a hurry, talking about the tux. They did things the slow way. And for the first time, Winnie felt free to explore, to ask questions, to play. Because this poor girl, she's an only child, and they kind of just let her go. She has to stay. I think in the book, it talks about she doesn't really go outside of her fence very much at home. The woods was directly across from her and she never even ventured out there. And she tries to play baseball with the little street boys in the town, and her mom shut that down. So she just doesn't have any friends. And finally she has a companion, albeit 104-year-old companion.
Yeah, that's just not healthy to grow up without playing. Or I mean, she's an only child, so it's hard, but sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're trying to just take away her childhood and make her a proper young woman without having these sorts of experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of times in these period dramas, you see the girl being trained to be just the wife. That's all that she's going to be eventually, and etiquette and knowing how to be a good wife to the husband that she's going to eventually be probably arranged to marry. And it's always sad. That's probably a common theme in period dramas, I would say, like Titanic. Oh, and then there's the whole jumping in the water scene. So she doesn't know how to swim, but there again, we have a cute boy in the water asking you to jump in. I think you're just gonna jump.
Yeah, I'm curious what y'all think about this scene, like the acting and like what y'all think about this scene?
My first thought was don't drink the water. Like, well, it won't hurt him, but like I've traveled with people that have had like water from a waterfall and then got sick afterwards. So I was just like, don't open your mouth.
Yeah, but we know survival is not her forte. Yeah, no, the acting is, this is a Disney movie. It's not like a high budget, huge film either, even though it is Disney.
I remember it was on TV a lot. Like
Mhm.
that's where I first saw it, I think, on the Disney Channel.
But it's so sweet and endearing. I can kind of look past some of the acting. Like it's not trying to be this like
Yeah.
Oscar-winning movie. Alexis Bledel is beautiful and cute, and then Jonathan Jackson is also cute. And yeah, I don't know.
I was gonna say I could definitely feel their connection igniting at that point. There was some trust involved, and then at one point Jesse said, I'll never let you go." And as he's spinning her around in circles on her back, and she's feeling weightless and enjoying like the water and his company.
Yeah.
Oh, that was such a sweet moment. And yeah, at first I was like, oh, this is kind of awkward, but I guess that's just the way it would be, like, because they're just getting used to each other, and it's new territory for her and
And for him a little too,
yeah,
if you think about it.
but it was so sweet. And
yeah, it's a sweet moment for sure. And then they get to dry off by the fire. It's darker outside. A little bit of natural music happens, the birds chirping and him playing on the rock.
yeah, I was like, where is this beat coming from? I just hear birds. Like
the wind picks up. Yeah, no, but it's, she wants to dance. She's finally feeling free from the swimming and from the running around. She feels the music inside of her. And she's also, I think, when you're falling in love, you have a little bit of butterflies in your stomach, a little bit of giddiness maybe. So she just kind of channels that, and they have a cute dance scene. They twirl. They do the twirl, and this is kind of Jack Rose vibes in the lower deck party scene of Titanic, I feel like.
oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Right? The twirling. So they're dancing by the fire, and then I think it cuts to Miles playing poker or something at a saloon or a bar.
So Miles is playing poker, right? And I think he's just kind of down. He's just so bitter and unhappy because of his family that passed away. So he's just drinking a lot. He's playing poker, and then he gets in a brawl and causes attention drawn to him. And Colonel Mustard sees him.
But wait a second. So he is jumping around. You mentioned that earlier, Tommy. He just kind of shows up everywhere. So I guess is one minute he's in the saloon, or he sees Miles in the street in the town, and then he's back in the woods spying on. Is that right?
He's looking for a family. The name's Tuck.
That's perfect. Yes. He's looking, and he's everywhere. He sees them everywhere. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Okay, yeah. And so they get in. Winnie and Jesse get interrupted. I think they get to share a first kiss, which is sweet. And then Miles comes in and overhears Jesse talking about the truth. I think that's what happens. And then Miles breaks down the whole story for Winnie. It's like, okay, we're just going to go there. Obviously, Winnie is part of this adventure now. So, Kayla, you mentioned the bitterness of Miles and his family life. That story is so sad, especially the part where she's like, she thinks that he sold his soul to the devil. So
I know. I was crying when he was telling the story. He's really the acting. I thought he did great in this scene because I really believed him, and so sad.
so sad to have kids and a wife. And I guess at that time, in the olden times, I mean, I know, think like the Salem witch trials, I mean, that was definitely a concern of people who had strong moral values and religious values. And then to think that, like, to hear about this person who, or to witness, she witnesses
Well,
this.
yeah, he probably just like didn't even tell her. It just was obvious. Like, okay, you're not getting older. What's going on?
Yeah. Because I don't think they had confirmed it in their own heads either, like what was going on right away.
Yeah.
So he's not aging. The whole family's not aging.
Mm.
She immediately thinks, her head goes there. He sold his soul to the devil. And she packs up her two kids and leaves. And it's so sad. And you can see the bitterness on her face. I mean, that's a pretty good actress too. She looks so sweet at first, in love with Miles. And then she looks a bit aged and she's kind of scary looking.
She was very scary looking.
and and then we learn either at this point or later in the story that she ended up in an insane asylum.
Yeah. She probably was telling people what happened and they were like, "Oh, you're crazy."
Yeah. Kind of like Belle's father in Beauty and the Beast. Like,
And those stories were also sad about what happened to his daughter, who died at a young age, and then his son would have been 80 at that time, but he also passed. And like I mentioned, the stories were really hard, but something that lightened the mood for me was it was shot in like a home video style for the flashbacks. And it kind of reminded me of Instagram in like 2012 when we were all putting really funny filters on and taking silly pictures. Um,
Yeah.
oh,
because
yeah.
Sepia tones.
Tommy, if you go back to my original Instagram posts, like it's you and me using those filters, like hardcore.
the cinematography looked like photo shoots we would have done at that time. It's just like why I kind of laughed a little bit.
I personally miss the original Instagram, like the way it used to be. Like it was so fun and like everyone all it was pictures of people's coffee or their food. Like that's all, you know.
I
It was so, I
know.
don't know, more innocent. Now it's just like I turn it on, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so depressed now, you know?
It's true. Instagram has changed so much, but I do like the OG 2012 Instagram. Definitely have some nostalgia for those times. And I
Oh.
think the three of us, like, and I would post something and only you two would like it. Like, it would be like two likes, Tommy and Kayla.
I mean, that's still the case for me, but
But it was just so fun.
I know.
And oh, I love that
There was no
callback.
there was no motive to it, just sharing. It was kind of like Facebook photo albums, it was just sharing your day-to-day life.
Yeah, so we were talking about Miles's story, and I think Winnie is pretty quick to believe the story. I don't think she's in too much disbelief. I can't remember. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Because afterwards, Tuck took her out on the water and had a talk with her about whether or not she wanted to like, go through with this and really fully understand what it means to be immortal.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's such a sweet moment between Angus or Tuck, and like they just call the father just by the last name Tuck, um, and Winnie. And I mean, she must have trusted them at this point if she allows him to row her out to the middle of a lake. Right?
That's a good point, considering she can't swim.
Right. She can't swim. They're kind of kidnapping her, holding her hostage. And she's like, yeah, I'll get in the canoe with you. Let's just go for it. Um, but he tells her, some sweet life lessons. And the famous quote from the movie, anyone want to say it?
Go for it.
Don't be afraid of death, Winnie. Be afraid of the unlived life. And that's what we're supposed to take and run with it. Do I personally? No. um, so what does that mean to us? Do you want to be stuck as you are forever? Do you want to fear death and try to outwit death and stay alive forever and be immortal? Or do you want to just live your life to the fullest and eventually die and be part of the cycle?
What do you want, Carly?
Yeah. I would even be tempted if it were vampirism. So
Oh my god.
this is better. No, but okay, honestly, would you not, you'd be tempted. Tell me that.
Drink from
To
the
drink
fountain.
this to drink from the spring.
It's
Or
just
would
so
you just
final. It's like there's no going back after that, you know? Like at least if you don't drink it, you can still think about it for a while. It's too much pressure, you know?
would you be tempted, Tommy?
For sure, I'd be tempted. I'm curious about the limits of it though, like, because Jesse's fallen, but like, if your arm falls off, will it grow back or something?
No, that's true. It's like, what if someone like burns you at the stake? Like you're dust. Like, are you coming back? Like,
I don't know. I mean, they were shot. It sounded like Miles would go off to war a bit and kind of play with play with his luck there, and he seems fine and intact. No missing
ooh,
appendages.
I have another question for y'all. Do y'all think that there actually is a fountain of youth out there, like in a tree or something?
I believe in the supernatural and mysterious forces, so maybe, but I don't. I think Tommy's more scientific brained. I think
I just think of that tech billionaire who's trying to like reverse his aging, and he's like 50, but on a metabolic level, he's like 45 and really proud of himself. It's spending millions of dollars to just try to become immortal, or think of Walt Disney, who may or may not have frozen his head.
and that's the thing. I think throughout time, we will always have people trying to defy this death sentence at the end of life.
Well, so you say the writer of the book wrote this in like the 70s.
Mhm.
What if this is like true and like she's Winnie
Mm,
Foster?
that would be cool. Yeah, so she experienced this back in 1880, as the book has it. She's still living, and she's like, you know what? It's 1975. I'm just going to write this and make some money from a children's novel. You never
Yeah,
know.
you never know.
And think, I like your point, Tommy, about like people nowadays searching for an answer to eternal youth. And back then, the explorers were looking for the fountain of youth in Florida, I think, right? They thought they found it in Florida when they were,
Really?
like Columbus times, maybe. Maybe history. Yeah.
Oh, it's ringing a bell. Yeah. I'm
All
thinking of
right.
like the City of Gold or something.
Which, Tommy, I remember you and I would always see the most random movies together. I think we watched that Pirates of the Caribbean 4, which people don't really like. I think you and I watched that one together.
Is that the one we watched over like a 4 hour period?
Took us a while. Has like the mermaids in it. And then you and I watched, I feel like we watched Transformers 2 together.
We
And
went to the movies and watched Sucker Punch. Is that what you're
yes,
going to say?
yes, exactly gonna say. And that movie, I don't know. I like that movie. It's just,
I'm trying to picture it.
look it up, Kayla.
Is that
I liked it. I liked it too, but it was one of those things where you like
that
can never
movie?
get the name right.
Yes.
That movie's so weird. I remember watching it and then I was like so confused after. Like, what did I just watch?
Yeah, and we kept forgetting the name. It wouldn't stick in our head. So what do we call it?
Sugar Cult, not Sucker Punch.
Yeah. I think I still call it that in my head. And then I think, did we see Hannah together?
Oh, we did.
That was a good one. Kayla and I
I
like that
did.
movie too. So then they're thinking of, okay, how are we going to get out of this? We got to return Winnie to her family, or maybe Winnie will. I think Jesse wants Winnie to drink from the spring and stay with him. There's definitely evidence of that. And in the book, he even tells her, wait till you're 17, because she's a 10-year-old in the book. Drink from the spring and I'll come find you and we'll live happily ever after. And again, tempting. But then we have the man in the yellow suit finally comes and says, hey, I found your secret. I'm going to kidnap Winnie again, this time for real. And, you know, your secret's not going to be secret anymore. I'm going to market it. And May comes up behind him and whacks him on the back of the head with the gun and kills him. How crazy is that? But I think her maternal instinct that you mentioned earlier kind of kicks in, and she's wanting to protect her family and Winnie. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. And then the posse, I don't know, the homes, the people searching for Winnie find them. They set the fire to the house, which is kind of sad. They've been there for like 20 years or something. Can't remember. Or longer. Maybe it's just 20 years in the book. And they're running off. And you think, okay, maybe this is the last time Winnie sees them. But then it cuts to the fact that May is gonna hang at the gallows. She's in jail. And Jesse climbs up to her window, Winnie's window, and is like, you gotta help us.
This scene in particular made me think of the Nickelodeon show Clarissa Explains It All,
Mm-hmm.
where her best friend would always come up through the window, and
Yeah.
that just gave me a fun flashback to it.
Oh, that's so fun. I love that too. That was a good one. That was a good show. Yeah. And she goes and helps them. And that's a kind of a fun scene, the jailbreak scene, where they're being all mysterious and like wearing these cape things. They kind of look like Civil War people or something, and then have a saber, and that guy's shooting at them, and they like even fall down for a bit and then rise back up like zombies. And like that would be kind of fun.
That would have freaked me out so much if they got up.
Yeah, for sure. And
And I,
Winnie, go ahead.
oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, I think the frog made another appearance in that scene
Oh,
because it was the bailiff or sheriff, I don't know what you call him, but he was like throwing little sunflower seeds or pebbles at it in front of the jail
oh
before
yeah,
Winnie
yeah,
goes
yeah.
in.
I think you're right. And so in the book, the frog is like her little friend because she doesn't have any friends. And then at a certain point, this dog like tries to kill the frog. And Jessie in the book had given her a vial, a bottle of the spring water, and she pours it on the frog to save the frog.
Aww.
I guess there's some immortal frog out there.
Aww.
So, yeah. And they free May from the jail scene, and they get to say they get to have a better goodbye, I feel like, at this part. um it's kind of rushed as well, but Winnie and Jesse kind of have their little moment, and this is where he asks her to like think about it, maybe drink from the spring, maybe I'll come get you. And you kind of think, maybe she'll do that. They ride off into the darkness. They're living their secret is still safe, no one knows about it. And Winnie is back at home, and I think she's kind of contemplate, or no, this is where she goes to the spring. She goes to the spring, if I'm not mistaken.
And fiddles around in the water.
Mm-hmm. And that's such a sweet little scene. I like how she's kind of like perched, leaned against the tree in her cute little, it's a white lacy blouse and then like a light pink skirt. That's kind of her color theme throughout the movie, is white with a touch of light pink. And she's replaying things in her head, and I think, yeah, you see her pick up the water like, ooh, maybe I'll take it, and then she's like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah, and at this point you don't know whether or not she's done
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And the frog's there again, I'm sure. I think
I need to go
Not
back
to
and watch
mention.
this movie now. Didn't even see the frog.
You'll notice it now because Tommy and I are like, we're making notes every time we see the rose.
Well, Jesse says when he leaves, like, I'll come back for you when it's safe.
Yeah. And then it cuts to them. So we kind of learn, okay, so she's not doing this. Instead, she goes with her family to travel and see the world. So that is a nice sweet ending where oh my gosh, her grandmother dies.
Mm-hmm.
Her poor grandmother
Yeah,
dies. And that
that's
probably affects her decision too, right?
for sure. There was a scene in the movie after they split where you can see the end of life of her grandmother and the final moments, and the doctor saying to her mom that she doesn't have much time, but you can be with her. And basically, Winnie watches her grandmother die with her mother on her bedside, and really gets to see like what mortality is like, and it's still up in the air whether or not she's drank from the fountain at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or if she plans to. And I think the fact that she kind of, her and her mother make up and they hug each other, they hug it out, and her mother's not going to send her to boarding school. And they've kind of come to a better understanding. And I wish there were more Victor Garber scenes, side note. Um, they kind of, you know, form this nice little family. And I think that kind of seals her decision for her too, a bit.
So after Winnie's grandmother dies, Winnie sees her mom looking out into the woods and walks up to her and gets to see a bit of a different side of her mom at this point. And it was for me the first time I noticed in the film where her mom referred to her as Winnie.
Not Winifred.
Right.
Right.
And she says, every time I look at you, you're different. I'm losing you too. And Winnie responds, I'm right here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really touching moment for me, just appreciating your family and realizing like you have a support system. You just have to make yourself a little vulnerable, perhaps.
Oh, yeah. No, that is a really sweet scene, and it definitely gives you all the feels because you think about the the family members who have loved you and supported you, and yeah, I get that. That's nice. I liked your recollection of that scene, and maybe that's really what made her decide to keep going, not drink from the spring. I don't know. We'll never know exactly, but she does get to go travel with her parents, and they're wealthy too. So I mean, like, she's not going to be a poor, impoverished girl.
I'm curious where they went, how long they were gone.
I don't know, but I'm sure she went and saw the Eiffel Tower in Paris and was thinking about Jesse. But yeah, so then it cuts to Jesse on his motorcycle, the opening scene. So it's modern day times again. And I do like the transition too of the old town into the new town. It was very seamless and pretty. And he comes back, he goes to her grave, which is in the woods, probably by the spring, I think is what we're supposed to believe. It's either in the woods or near the spring. And she lived 100 years. He's thinking of her. But then I was thinking, surely he came back before then just to check up on her, right? Like, was this right?
I would hope so, but who's to say? I'm not sure. Maybe it took him 80 years to get safe, but
I think
I
she
was a little
made the
disappointed.
You think she made the right decision? Is that what you said, Kayla?
Oh, like that's a long time.
I don't know. I picture him like this is the second time he's come back, is how I kind of picture it. Like he came back maybe 5 years later or something, noticed, or maybe who knows, maybe 10 years, and noticed her that she had aged and been like, okay, I guess she chose life, and rode away, and then came back all those years later just to see. I don't know. I don't know.
Did anybody else get emotional when you saw her tombstone and saw her choice?
I think I
Yeah.
remember when I was younger and it was like the first time I saw it. I think I definitely got emotional, but like I've known the ending, so I don't get emotional too much anymore, but I do get emotional when the brother's telling a story just because it just seems so sad. But yeah, that I feel like that moment where you realize like it's just so profound, so like it doesn't hit me every time, like, but I remember it did.
Then, and I just think she could be still alive now. She just had a sip of water.
Well, maybe she faked her death.
Ooh, there you go. All these years she put on makeup to make herself look older, and then she fakes her death, and then she just like moves. There are ways, I don't know, there could be a way of having both, like living your life with your family and then being immortal.
Well,
Well, okay, I got a question. What would be the perfect age to like drink the water and then stop at that age? Like, because being a 20-year-old maybe versus 17, being 27 versus 17, I don't know.
Yeah, I've enjoyed my 30s, and I definitely was an awkward teenager, so I could just surely say not 17.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
teenager was the that was the worst time for me.
Okay, I think like 29 was a good time because you're still not feeling 30, and you have such experience under your belt. Like I feel more confident now than I ever have in my early 30s, but at the same time, I don't know, I don't love getting older. I'll just be honest. It's kind of like I want more time. I want more time to accomplish things. And that's, I think, a natural thing. So throughout, we've been talking about the Titanic comparisons. Titanic set in 1912, and this movie set in 1914. We have everything from the pink coat, the actual movie costume used in both movies. There's the corset scene with the mother. There's the dancing, twirling scene where the young man is dancing with the young woman. I guess he's not really a young man in this case with Jesse. He's 104. And they also bring the young woman to like a high precipice or like some kind of a overlooking thing. So in this one, there's the rock formation in the Adirondacks. And then in the Titanic, of course, there's the bow of the ship. If you think about it, like the overlook, the view. Victor Garber's in both, and the message of the story. So don't waste your life. Get out there, live it, break convention. And there's even the quote by Jack in Titanic: I figure life's a gift and I don't intend on wasting it. You never know what hand you're going to get dealt. You learn to take life as it comes to you, to make each day count. So I feel like that's a very indirect comparison with the quote from the movie and the book.
That's so weird to me because there's also that fan theory with Jack and how he's like a time traveler, you know? And it's
Tell
like,
us more.
well, so and all well, or maybe it has to do with Leonardo and like how all his movies are like connected. Like The Great Gatsby is really him waiting for Rose or whatever. So it's like, what if they're connected? I don't know.
Okay. I'll have to do some more reading on that one. That's interesting. But yeah, I feel like that there's just the connection. I mean, the Victor Garber, the music composer being similar or being the same, William Ross. So I don't know. I just love that. And I think I'm going to post on my period drama style Instagram. I've done it before. I've posted some side by side scenes. So yeah. And the director of this movie is I think a notable director, Jay Russell, but I haven't seen many movies from Jay Russell. Have either of you?
I'd have to look it up.
The only one I've seen is My Dog Skip, which was another tearjerker for me as a kid, just because anything with an animal dying at the end of it, I'm just like, that'll do it for me. boy's coming of age story with his dog like hit close to home with me. So
Oh, I
it's a
haven't
sweet
seen
movie.
I haven't seen that one all. It's hard to watch though, some of those tear jerkers, like if you know going in. But I'll try. I do love dog movies.
It's interesting. It doesn't look like he's. Oh, he did Ladder 49.
Is that a Joaquin Phoenix movie?
Yeah. He hasn't directed that many movies, it seems. I mean, compared to other directors, just 11, I think.
Okay. But sometimes that's good. I mean, I feel like these directors, when they take on projects and they're more particular, they put a lot of heart and soul into the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, one more quick Titanic thing that I forgot to mention. So also, they don't end up with the guy. Like the guy changes the life of the girl, but then they don't end up with him.
I'm so weirded out by all these similarities, honestly. Like, what? Why? Is
I
it just
don't know.
coincidence?
I think that I want to believe there's some purposefulness because Titanic is such a beloved movie and they wanted to maybe channel that. And then the fact that they changed the setting from 1880 to 1912, like that's crazy. Or they really wanted to use that pink coat and they were like, we have to make it Edwardian. I don't know. Now's the part of the podcast where we just see, have any of us thought of recasting this movie? Are there any actors nowadays that would be in a good remake? They're remaking movies left and right nowadays.
I was thinking about this and I was struggling, but maybe for the father, my one of my favorite actors is Viggo Mortensen.
Ooh, love Vigo.
Oh, yeah.
And then just to be a little bit chaotic, maybe the man in the yellow suit could be Danny DeVito. But I don't know how successful this film would be.
I want to see that movie.
But there would need to be more scenes with the father if they're gonna get Vigo, because like, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's so funny. I haven't seen this series in full, but I've seen clips of it on Instagram when it was released recently on Amazon Prime. That Maxton Hall series. Anyone?
Mm.
But I feel like the actor and actress would be perfect for this. So it's Harriet Herbig Matten, looks like she's German, and Damien Hardung. And I feel like if you look up Maxton Hall, these actors look like they would be great as
Let me see.
Jesse and Winnie. Like, not many guys have that late 90s, early 2000s vibes anymore. Like,
Mm.
it's hard to replicate that. Um, Another actor who kind of has that vibe is Brenton Thwaites. So he played Prince Philip in the first Maleficent movie, and then he was in Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. And then I was thinking Florence Hunt, who plays Hyacinth Bridgerton, is cute. And I don't know, maybe some Winnie aesthetic there. But yeah, this one's hard. I think that this movie is good as is. Any
Yeah.
others? Any more, Tommy, for your chaotic version of Tuck Everlasting?
Maybe like Nicole Kidman as the mom.
Of course.
Of course. Okay, but who would you cast as Winnie and Jesse?
No.
Mm, there's there's an actress, Daphne Keane, who I've enjoyed. She was the main character in His Dark Materials and also Jackie in The Acolyte. I just think she's a cool young actress.
Yes. I love this. Yeah. Now, you and I were talking earlier how we liked Jackie and the Acolyte, and she's so cute. She's got such a cute little face. Looks like she's 19 from Spain. Very cool.
I can see that for sure.
Mm-hmm. This one's a hard one to recast. I think it's a good movie as it is. I'm curious if they did remake this movie, would they make Winnie 10 years old like the book, or would they make her like Alexis Bledel age?
I don't know.
In the
Mm.
book, yeah, it
They
just
probably just wouldn't remake it because of that.
Yeah, it sounds so creepy, especially like some of the dialogue between Winnie and the man in the yellow suit. Like at one point he wanted to like live eternity with her, and I was like, yeah, right before May whacked him.
Yeah, he's like thinking he was gonna use her, like make her drink from the spring and then kind of use her as like a little circus freak girl to explain the spring, the benefits of the spring.
It was a good movie. I enjoyed it, and it made me appreciate taking steps in life to complete tasks and sort of just enjoying the process of things. Like one of the scenes I really liked was the parents making a cherry pie together and cutting up the cherries one by one and trimming around the edges and just sort of enjoying the fruits of life, so to say.
I like the phrase, the fruits of life. It's a good phrase. And it's a sweet movie. I would say it's a comfort film. It's got that nostalgic feeling, I think, from when it came out.
I think that's why I kind of forget the little things because it is, to me, it's a comfort movie. Like I'm so familiar with it. So I kind of turn it on and we'll like do, the dishes or like, walk around and but I need to go back and like it's worth, really getting into like Tommy and you and noticing the small details. There's a lot to it.
So thank you all for joining us for this really fun podcast episode on Tuck Everlasting, the Disney movie from 2002 that really makes you think about life and making sure that you live it to the fullest. I want to thank Tommy for joining us. What a great co-host. Thank you so much. Hope you had fun.
I definitely did. Thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Great. And if there were any other period dramas you would want to come back for, what would they be?
Oh, I would love to be on Phantom of the Opera. I think the movie's called A Little Princess.
That's such a good one. I think we should do both of those. And thank you, Kayla, for always being by my side through these podcasts. This is our penultimate episode of season 2, Kayla. One more to go.
What's your favorite word? Penultimate.
It is. We are excited to wrap up season 2 next time. One more episode to go for season 2 of Swoon-Worthy. And thank you all for taking this journey with us. And remember, folks, you don't have to live forever. You just have to live.